Welcome to the show, Education in Our Community. I'm Reverend Robert R.L.MCKNIGHT of the Rock of Truth Church, and we have as our guests for this show, and hopefully it will not be the last time, the eminent and recently called pastor to the Beth Eaton Baptist Church. From New Orleans, we have with us Reverend Dr. Dwight Webster. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Reverend McKnight.
We want to begin before we start with our topic, which is family and community ministry. We're just having Dr. Webster share some things with us about himself and his ministry. I had the privilege when I was teaching high school of teaching his wife. I hope that at some future date we can have both of them back on the show.
Great.
Now tell me, what really are your plans here in Oakland? What do you see for your future and the future of the Beth Eaton Church?
Well, once again, Reverend McKnight, thank you for inviting me and for the many kindnesses you, your wife, and Rock of Truth have extended to me and mine and others throughout the countless years and generations. And my wife does speak with great fondness about her experience with you from the standpoint of teaching and ministry. I guess my first order of business is just to survive. Mm-hmm. I think that's what many of us have to deal with, and I can relate to a number of other people. Survival is job one, because if you're not around, then you can't do anything.
Yes.
Secondly, to move from survival to surviving to thriving. And the notion of thriving means being full of life, balanced, healthy. And the extension of that is what I tend to bring to the leadership of Beth Eaton and Beth Eaton in the community.
Excellent. I don't think you're going to stop at thriving. I know you want to reach that zenith of flourishing.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
Now let me ask you, because I know some of the history of Beth Eaton. Isn't it one of the, if not the mother church of Oakland?
It is the mother church of Black Baptist churches in Alameda County or in the East Bay. So it is well established, and it's a historic church that has done a lot for many, many, many years. There's been a lot of good leadership that has positioned that church to be a beacon light, as it were, in the community, particularly in Oakland.
Then that's quite a challenge to have to come, that you're coming in now and to move it forward, doing Sankofa, going back and gaining the essence, the egg of it, and moving forward in this 21st century. We are crossing some troubled waters at this time in the church collective. How do you see getting across that, building that bridge?
Well, I think your citing of the Sankofa metaphor is a kind of mandate. In holding the egg, you've got to grasp it hard enough or firmly enough to keep it from falling, but you can't hold it so tightly that you break it. So that's the notion of Sankofa. But also, the Black church no longer enjoys that pivotal, central, defining position in the community that it once had. Beth Eaton and other churches like it in the city are both gathered and community churches. Many of the people that lived in the immediate vicinity of the church have now moved into outer reaches of the East Bay, yes, and they commute a long distance. In that sense, it's a gathered church. Some come across bridges and across bays. But others come right from the neighborhood. And that is, I think, should in fact be the quality and the character of a church today. We have a historic church, and I think we're moving to make it a historic church for contemporary times. And with that in mind, it must in fact be a gathered church, relevant enough for people to come a long distance if they choose, but also something that adds value to the community where it is physically located. If a church is in a community and it does not have something to offer to the people, instead of just trying to extract from them what they think they need to survive, it's not, as some people have said, a relevant church. Beth Eden, I think, is poised now and today to be a different kind of church. Again, I reiterate, a historic church for contemporary times. We're in the process of constructing a family life center. And to give honor where honor is due, the Reverend Dr. Gillette O. James, Pastor Emeritus of the Beth Eden Baptist Church, is the one to whom God revealed the idea and the plan. And then the church came together and put together a mission statement. And when I came upon the scene, I saw that the mission statement reflected what any kind of family or community life center ought to be about. That's lifting up children, lifting up families, making accessible things to the community that aren't normally accessible. Daycare, teaching. There's going to be a small chapel for weddings and other events, a gym, so that young people will have a place to blow off steam and to develop character. So I think those kinds of things are the hallmark of what a family life center ought to be for the community.
So it's a family life center, emphasis on family. And I like that because in days past and gone, at the University of California, Dr. Andrew Billingsley was there in the Department of Sociology, and he authored a book, Black Families in White America. And in the introduction, he says that the family is the most basic institution of any civilization, that is actually the center and the source of any civilization. And that within that intimate context of the family, individuals develop their concept of themselves, their value, and their sense of self-worth in relations to the others in their life. Somewhere along the way, we lost this. Mm-hmm. And the great theologian, Dr. C. Lincoln, said in his book, The Black Church Since Fraser, I think it's the title of it, that in days past and gone, it was the black family, and at that time, the black school and the black church that joined hands together to rear up our youth. Is that sort of the concept of joining these three institutions together?
Yeah, the black church, the black family, the black school, and the community, those three need to interact, interpenetrate, interface. And programmatically, and this is my take on it, what I want to see happen, a lot of people talk about STEM kind of programs, which I think are very needed, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But I add two other levels to that. And if you do deal with the acronym, STEM is as I suggested, but the next level of up from STEM is STEAM. And that A added in gives place to the arts. And there's ample study to show that all of the others benefit greatly when the arts are properly addressed. But we don't stop there. We have STEM, we have STEAM, and then we add the R, which gives us STREAM. And STREAM is, and I mean large sense, big, is the religious sensibility.
Yes.
I know there are narrowly defined definitions or interpretations of religion, but if you don't get up in the morning and go to church, but you wash your car, guess what your religion is? And for those who have their own special churches, Bedside Baptist, St. Mattress and Pillows of Rest, that's your religion.
Yes.
But with STEM, STEAM, and STREAM, I think we can recover that organic relationship. And what we want to see happen with that Family Life Center is that we make this space accessible to the community for the sake of the community, but to operate it and manage it independent somewhat from the church, so that there's not a commingling, and that it can be supported by corporations and foundations and individuals who don't necessarily want to support religion, but need to support community and family-based activities.
All right. Now, like all of Oakland, most cities, period, I was just talking with someone from New York who said that they had purchased years ago this huge brownstone in Harlem, but now Harlem is undergoing this process of gentrification, and it is happening in the community where Beth Eaton is. You made reference to it somewhat vicariously in terms of at one time we had neighborhood types of churches. You could walk
Right.
if you wanted to, but that's no longer the case today. The support base is not in the geographical location where the church is. So what are your plans? How do you see this center meeting the needs now of this diverse and different community?
Without getting into a protracted discussion and study of gentrification, about which I have many ideas, some people will ask, well, wouldn't you want something better? What do you have against gentrification? That's not the issue. My notion is that the community ought to be revitalized.
Yes,
And
I
revitalization
like that.
means you take what is there, infuse life into it,
Yes.
bring it back, make it relevant, make it accessible,
Yes.
so that it doesn't matter what the demographics are, is that you've got a revitalization center that represents life for a community.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be the only center, but it has to be something that makes sense to the people that are there without pushing out others who have been there for a long time.
Yes.
But can be welcoming, to whosoever will. And that's where the spillover from the church comes, because that's our mandate in that particular spiritual and religious realm, that we serve whosoever comes. Not so much a particular ideology, but the theology, the biblical theology that we rest on is whoever the Lord allows to come, then we minister to them. So we're not worried about a different religion. We're not worried about a different ethnicity, and that we take care of the household of faith as we should, but we take care of the neighborhood. I think technological access is a huge thing. I want to see that any and everybody in the immediate vicinity has access to the cutting edge of technology, not for the sake of technology, but to come up, again, for revitalization, for actualization, for those kinds of things, skills, soft skills, hard skills, those kinds of opportunities that will make a difference for multiple generations. And then to do in the community a kind of assets-based assessment. Too often ministries and agencies go into a community and there's a negative pall cast over what they're doing. It's a deficit model that they deal with. And what my orientation is, yeah, there may be deficits, but we're going to go in and see what the assets are, what the high points are, what the bright points are, build them up, add to them, strengthen them, make access for other people to come. And then those things that may be deficient, they will be addressed as we access those things that are our strengths and our positive aspects.
Excellent. I like that idea of revitalization. And this is needed throughout the entire city. It's needed throughout the country.
Right, right.
We need to be revitalized, reinvigorated. You let me know when you get to that point of implementation. I want to watch that because this is what is needed. Someone said that if we are not careful, we will end up as agents of our own demise. And so the key is revitalization. And how do we do this? In this fast-paced society, and when people want everything instantly, how do we begin to revitalize our city? And you know what's happening here in Oakland. You saw some of it in New Orleans. The number of people and families, these are human beings who are displaced, they're dispossessed. We like to group them in the circular file of homelessness, but we have to look beyond that. How do we get this message across? How do we implement such a program where it will make a difference? Because as Dr. Akbar said, ain't nobody gonna save us but us.
True. Well, my mandate is I was called by God through the congregation to be the senior pastor of Beth Eden Baptist Church. That's job one. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm going to do. And things then emanate out radially from that epicenter. And those things that we do will be Bible-based, Spirit-led, Bible-fed, not in the bibliolatry sense that, you know, some paper is our God. No, our God is an awesome God. God is Spirit. And we are not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it's the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes. But I don't believe particularly in a social gospel. Either it's gospel or it's not. If Luke says the Spirit of the Lord is on me because he's anointed me to preach the gospel, the good news. If we're talking about the downcast, the downtrodden, the last, the lost, the least, the lonely, and the left out, that's gospel. That's not just social gospel. It may have social dimensions. But if then you move away from even that social dimension, then you have an aberration. There's some people, well, we're going to pass out tracts, we'll do this. That's fine. That's wonderful. But 80% of the people that join any church or any ministry come through family and friends. And that's why the Family Life Center means something. And so we're tied in and we're connected. And what we intend to do is allow the community to see our light shine. So that folk can come and say, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. So the worship kind of is that entree. But service, I remember many churches had two placards on in their sanctuary or fellowship, and that was enter to worship and depart to serve. That's the hallmark. That's what it is. Worship without serving or serving without worshiping throws the balance out. It's not shalom. It's not that balance. It's not that healing. And then we are unapologetically, no, let me put it this way. We are unabashedly black and Christian. But blackness does not mean the exclusion of any or everybody else. As a matter of fact, the example I normally give for folk, if you give a child a white piece of paper and then give them a box of crayons, let's say it's that Crayola 64 crayon set with the sharpener in it. And young children, if you just let them color with, they will try to use every crayon in the box. And when you look at what's on the paper, the confluence and the presence of all of those colors make black. And that's how I look at that. If you look at the light spectrum, it's different, a little bit different. But so it's inclusive. And if you look at human history, If you look at the origins, that's where the concept of blackness comes from. Not exclusionary, but inclusive. But not to forget that God blessed us with melanin, and we have a DNA that has built the greatest things this planet has ever seen. Mm-hmm. And so that we can share that. We share it with everybody and in everything. That is what we want reflected in the community. You come to Beth Eden in the days coming, fifth Sunday, the Women's Missionary Society, they're going to be in their African attire. Now, who would have thought that the WMS, Women's Missionary Society, would, without prompting from somebody else, decide that's what they want to wear? I'll be in African attire, and I won't wait for Black History Month to do it, because not only am I not ashamed of the gospel, but I know who I am. I love who I am, and I love that God made me my black self. And so I thank God for that. I thank God for the opportunity to serve Beth Eden. I love the children and the elders. We have a number of members that are over 100 years old. What a privilege it is for me to minister to a congregation of individuals who have borne their burden in the heat of the day, come up the rough side of the mountain, and are still breathing air past 100. But then I love my babies, my young people. Now, I don't know them well enough. They don't know me well enough to be all that I normally am. But I'm going to be who I am, and I embrace our children. I want to tout their successes in school. If they've come up from an F or a D to a C, I want to celebrate that, because that's significant. Not just those who make A's, not just those who get the scholarships, but the children who are advancing.
Yeah.
When we bless babies, I want children to be applauded in the congregation. That may be the only applause that they ever hear. So that's the kind of thing, those affirmations, those affirmative kinds of experiences. And our children don't want to come to church sometimes because, as they say, it's boring. Well, as long as I'm there, I'm going to do my level best to keep it from being boring.
I like that. And that idea about the fifth Sunday. At the Rock of Truth, we do it on every fourth Sunday. From the pastor to the last pew, come in African attire. And then you're free to do it. One of my associates come every Sunday in African attire.
Exactly. And they do that.
You're free to do it. You don't need a special day to do that.
Right. So, and I think that's going to be happening. We'll see that.
That's good. Yeah. Mission Sunday. Oh, yes.
But we'll start out the year in fasting and praying. And somebody will say, well, wait a minute. I just heard him talk African, now fasting. Yes, the full range. Mm-hmm. We're whole gospel. I know there are other euphemisms, but we're the whole gospel, the whole counsel of God for the whole person, for the whole community. It's a holistic approach. And so that's what we want people to see and feel. And that's why we want folk to partner with us and to assist us in getting that Family Life Center up, getting it staffed, getting it equipped. We cannot do that ourselves. No church, no one individual or organization or organism can do that. So those who want to partner with us, get in touch with us. Let us know you have some resources that will help. And then we'll make sure that there is access that the community has to what we're doing for families, for the community. Now, if you're asking us to be other than who we are, other than who God made us to be, we're going to be who we are.
You have to be. I like that. And what I also like is that you have extended an invitation.
Yes.
It's not exclusive, that you can come and be a part of this.
Right.
And that center will serve as a beacon, a light to draw others. And your ministry will go out from the church.
We want to build. We want to build people. The Bible talks about edifying and building up people. And that's what we do. I just met with my associate ministers, and we were talking about Christian education. So the methodology, the modality, the pedagogy, the andragogy, if you will, of what we would do in education is we'll teach teachers to teach teachers. We're not just departing indoctrination or tenets or spouting shibboleths. We want to teach folk and to empower folk and to make this multi-generational, to extend
Yes.
that. And that's what we need, a facility that's outside of a sanctuary and administrative offices. We need to have a learning environment, a learning center. And as I've come into the plans, I see they're environmentally sensitive. And there are other things that we're doing. We would need to, again, get support to even go further in our building. And if we can get a high-tech corporation to come in and say, look, I want to invest in the community, and we want to make sure that at the corner of 10th and Adeline, the cutting edge of technology is available. If in fact there is some other kind of entity that says, you know what, we want to make sure, if a bank says with the Community Reinvestment Act, we want to make sure that what we're doing in terms of business is community sensitive and community responsible. That's the kind of thing that we want. Again, the gamut, the whole range.
Now, what I would like to do is to give you an opportunity to extend an invitation to our audience, to Beth Eaton. Let them know where the church is. How can they contact you? Perhaps someone is saying, this is what I've been waiting for to invest in. How would they contact you?
You can get in touch with us at Beth Eaton Baptist Church. You can email me at seniorpastor@betheden.com, all lowercase. You can call us at 510-444-1625. I borrow a phrase from another place, and it's not this place, but I will suggest to you that there's no place like that place anywhere near that place, so it must be the place for you. We want you to bring Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. We want you to have a good time, and we want you to know that there's a reality in serving a true and living God. We minister to the whole person. We want to be relevant to the whole community. We're Bible-fed and Spirit-led, and we invite you to meet us on Sunday mornings, 10:45, at the corner of 10th and Adeline, 1183 10th Street. Be there. Don't be left out.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. We're looking forward. Great things are already occurring there at the Beth Eaton. It never stopped. And so we're just looking forward to even more so in terms of the prominence and the place of Beth Eaton in that West Oakland community. And again, thank you so much for taking time out from your schedule. This is a special day in the life of ministers and pastors. Thank you for setting aside the time to come and to join us. And so until next time, this is Reverend McKnight saying, may God continue to bless you, and we will see you real soon at the Beth Eaton Church or the Rock of Truth Church. Thank you.
Thank you.